I quickly want to say thanks from a friend of mine, BioPhoenix, who allowed me to use this footage of when he was playing Castlevania Curse of Darkness, so thanks. Go check his stuff out. So, let's talk about a series that I have never talked about before, that being the Castlevania series. Personally, I'm not a fan of Castlevania, just not my thing. I know at least the timeline at least somewhat, so basically I can get at least some understanding of what's going on. Or at least a skeleton of what's going on. Because you see, this game takes place after the third game, which is a bit odd, as we follow the man named Hector here, who's basically hunting Isaac, who basically killed his wife by falsely accusing her of being a witch. And he's also a BDSM guy, I'm guessing, because that already has a lot of tattoos, like more than Diavolo. Just saying. We find out that we were Dracula's Devil Forge masters, people who can make demons for him and whatnot, and I'm like, okay, neat. He then later states that they are the only two, and I'm like, damn, seriously, writer, stop inserting numbers in things and saying that's the only amount, because you're gonna bullshit yourself later on this, or it breaks the world. Just saying. Isaac then leaves saying we're not strong enough yet and he wants us to beat us down when we're ready, and so like, yeah, he just leaves with his demon Abel, and fun fact, he will only appear in one fight and a few cutscenes. Yeah, that's a cool demon, rarely appears. The heck? Since they hide this fight in the intro, so what's up with that? I should also mention that this story feels very lackluster. The story is more, at times, put onto the sideline and more focused on the gameplay, which is fine. Again, I don't mind if the story is just not entirely there and the gameplay is more focused. But if you're not going to bother to at least prop it up, why are we here? Although that's not saying with the haphazard writing, or at least to me, feels like there was supposed to be more here, but it was either not in the budget or something. That is just something I'm going to throw out now, because later on, it's just going to be brought up more. So yeah, after that we enter in and begin with a semi-tutorial. It's pretty okay, as the game is a simple hack and slash with the square being light attack, triangle being the finisher, and good lord, I just realized how many games you could actually fit into that just subgenre box of hack and slash games. With X also being a jump, and yeah, it's super weird when you start realizing that. And you can focus on an opponent with R1, being your guard, sort of. Let me explain. It's kind of like the camera being away, I'll refocusing your camera. L1, we're sending the camera back to you for some reason. As the camera stick, it's big garbage here, since it moves so slowly, as I genuinely wonder why they did it. And the back bumpers, don't worry about them much. They're not useful, but they have their own function, which I might go into some point. So after a little bit of exploring, you find your first innocent devil, which will be your helpers throughout the game. So yeah, what do? Well, they are either helpful for combat, either through healing or dealing a lot of damage, which the latter is their main job. Though the fairy class is more focused on healing, so be aware of that. I should mention this now. We meet a guy named Zed who basically wants us to defeat Isaac. But he really does not matter for much of the plot, so don't worry about him much. Okay, this is where also I should mention for the Innocent Devils, where the circle and the D-pad come into play. As the D-pad allows you to go and choose between certain modes, like choosing our demon to guard or use a certain move, and pressing circle will let you choose when they can use that skill. But if you don't want to bother with that much, you can put them on auto, though I don't recommend it because sometimes they'll be wasteful fuckers and just use the worst move for the situation. I found one that was the most useful throughout the entire game, and every guide basically tells you to get this guy. This is Buddy, or his real name is Sculpey. I can't ever say this name. He is, and truly is, the most powerful ID you'll find in the entire game. Like that, he'll do the most damage bar none, except the final one, which you won't get till way later, unless you grind for it, which I don't want you to. And I got it by pure accident. You see, there are two ways you can upgrade these demons. That being through normal leveling up through XP, and the latter using evil crystals, which are dropped by foes, so you can upgrade them and evolve them. Wait a moment, what makes an evil crystal drop? Well, by using certain weapons, meaning their evolutionary line, is dictated by what weapons you are using, which there are 4. Technically 5, but nobody uses the last one. Those being swords, axes, spears, knuckles, and specials. The last one is odd, as it's whatever the fuck weapon. As one was a bloody axe and the other one was a spiked shield. But both were entirely useless and nobody should use them. And I excluded them on purpose. So yeah, don't worry about gathering all of one type either, since no, it will just count the requisite number in total, not just that one in particular. So don't worry about that. And if you want to check which one requires what, you can go into the menu and press R1 to figure out which one needs what. So, trust me, I didn't know till way later, and that's the annoying part. Wait, you must then be asking, where do you get these weapons to begin with? Well, that's by making them with materials enemies drop. Yeah, it's a little confusing, because this also gets in the way of your evil crystals, which you can turn off, but it creates this sort of problem where basically the game wants you to do something while also doing another thing, and these two things are contradicting each other, making it kind of hard to do anything. Though your weapons are limited by the things that are dropped. By the end, I had this one pickaxe weapon, and so did my friend here, who also had the same weapon, since that would be fast enough to kill most of everything, and with the highest damage dealer we had. So somehow, the system is a lot of messes there. There's a whole system to mess with, but I'm just confused by this other thing. The devil system doesn't get anything. It's barely a system, if I could call it anything. I'm just saying, are we sure he's just not a Forge Master and not a Devil Forge Master? I'm just saying. Another thing I should mention is that the devils are only required for progress every so often, and even when it does, it's very heavily not even important. I mean, you can just ignore every other one and just use it for the intended task that it's meant for, and that is it. Isn't that the worst part of all? And even then, the game will require you to backtrack to use these to progress, though only sometimes. Wait, what? Yeah, it's confusing, as sometimes it will teleport you directly towards what you need to be at, which is just baffling, and you're just like, why do this so haphazardly? If you wanted to make a linear level, make a fucking linear level. Nobody's gonna blame you. Nobody gives a fuck. Like, why? And also, why is linear a bad term? I'm just saying. I'm sorry, that's a tangent of mine, because I hear that term get used so often in such a negative manner, even though it's fine, because, like, what? Mario's linear, fucking Sonic's linear, but you get my point. Does it matter? I'm sorry. Point being, fuck that sort of turn. But also what annoys me is that the save points are put haphazardly too. If you're wondering why that had to tie into the layout, it affects how you think about the level design into it. Because it just means, like, 2 save points can be right near each other, or they can be massively far apart from each other. Like the one in the town. Which is, like, what? Why? Oh yeah, I should mention also that everyone in this game sounds very fine, except for one person. That being Julia, who looks like Hector's dead lover. Which I thought they were going to pull the, oh, she's actually Rosaline in the end. But no, apparently not. And this was what I meant by this change in writing. Because, really? And oh my god, there are so many problems with her. And here's the thing. What's wrong with her? I would have to usually ask, You know the old saying, would you want that list in alphabetical or numerical order of how much it annoys me? Okay, what's wrong with her voice? Well, she's just bad. Though that's to be expected is from someone who's this was their first credit in acting ever, as far as we know. What's wrong with it? It sounds like if somebody was trying to say something in a monotone voice, but trying to sound like all-inspiring, if that makes any sense. Like, here's my Shakespearean acting coming into play. Hark! Do not go there, for the monsters will surely get you. But pray tell that if you carry this sword, you will somehow survive, I think. That was Acting 101 with me. Point being, she sounds terrible. And here's the thing, they could have chose anyone. They could have chose a better female voiced actor. Like, you'll notice there's no one there. Because literally any female voice actor would have been better. Or, I mean prominent ones. I mean, I don't want to hear this one.
What did you do, Nicole?
That exists. And I hate you all equally. Okay, another reason why she's just annoying to me is her reason to exist. Well, I mean, as in, like, they never explain who she is or what she is. Oh, yes, she's Isaac's brother and she's a witch. But that confuses me with this world's logic. Because, what does it mean to be a witch in this world? Does it mean just using magic? Dark magic? Or what the heck is the difference between dark magic and just magic? I know that sounds like a simple thing, like, it's magic, we don't have to explain it, but come the fuck on. I'm not asking for the ultimate explanation, I'm asking for differences. But also, what's worse, she's a shopkeeper, which baffles me since her shop is in a deadly fucking forest. How does she expect to get money? Like, I know it's for gameplay purposes, but story reasons? No, it makes no sense because in story, she wants you to win. So why is she making you pay for her shit? I'm just saying. It makes no logical sense because by doing so, she is purposely fucking you over. So then again, the shop is actually still pointless even with the potions, which are the only reasons why you'll ever use it. Well, two reasons why her shop is useless. One, currency is hard to come by. And you mostly have to find them through destroying statues, nothing else, or selling stuff. Which, why would you sell stuff? I think except at the end, but that's it. And again, the only other reason why you're there is to buy potions, which aren't that useful because since I got this fairy here, Poochie, because we all need a JoJo references in our life, who's enough for the task at hand. So, I again ask, what is her point? Someone would then argue that she's useful so that you can make new devils. And I'm like, why is she having that job? Why isn't the Devil Forge Master doing that job himself? Like, why couldn't she just be like the caretaker? I mean, like, caretaker makes sense, but the one who actually makes them? Come the fuck on. And she could have been like the fusion person. Like, we could have had some SMT shit in this. Come on. That would have been awesome. I'm just saying. Her story reason is nonsensical. Gameplay, she's useless. And people, if you ever wonder how writers can make some terrible characters, it's not on purpose sometimes. It's really not. Sometimes it just happens while you write something. Sometimes you just oversight. It's just oversight. And I mean, like, then again, she's not the only weird character who makes no logical sense in this story. There's also a person like Saint Germain. Okay, this guy truly baffles me. It was here when I saw him. When I saw him, he looked out of place. It's like when Zeppeli came out of nowhere and... Oh my fucking god. It's another JoJo reference. Oh my god. This entire game is a JoJo reference. Actually, if you let me go out of a tangent here, I can explain why this is an entire JoJo reference in and of itself. Okay, let's begin with Who's Jojo? Well, that's easy, Hector. Dio is Isaac. Well, technically, I'll explain that in a moment. Then we've got Jermaine, who is just Zebeli, who's trying to help us out. And we also got Zed, who is the Chinese guy, who's trying to help Isaac out. I'll explain later. Who is helping a vampire, actually. I should explain that more. And he changes into a vampire, Dracula. I'll explain that again later because... Oh god, I'm just sorry. Are you not seeing the lines here? I'm just saying. Forgot to add 2 more people to that list. That being Arena being Rosaline or Julia, whichever one, because of their obvious uselessness. Though then again, that would be an insult to Arena, because she actually does one thing at least for this plot. For her plot at least. And the other one being Trevor with this guy. Honestly, I keep forgetting his name. You'll just have noticed that I just spoiled everything, or at least spoiled something later on. But that's my point. Nothing happens. And I mean that literally. A lot of times when you're playing this game, nothing happens a lot during the between. It just happens randomly. And that's gonna hurt, because this gameplay gets a little repetitive. Like, way too repetitive. Like, if this game bores you, nobody's gonna blame you, because there's not a lot here, and honestly, I honestly wanted to stop about halfway through the game, but I just kept going because I had to hurry this up. Though I will say a few things. The environment looks fine, but they went out of their way to make it longer than it needs to. I'll get into that more. And the monster designs are fine. I just wish how many of them were just reduced. Because by the end of it, I stopped caring. Like, and even my friend who was streaming it and just going on his own pace did not like this. Because, oh god, by the final dungeon, you'll just try to get through it all. And I just mean that. It is the worst, by far. The music was well done, but as usual, but I can only say I don't like it much. Though that's just me, even though I can barely hear it sometimes, because some songs just repeat on and on and on for some reason. Actually, speaking of songs for a moment, let's talk about Trevor for a moment. Trevor Belmondo. You see, I didn't mention him either because he doesn't really factor into this plot much. Sort of. And like, he's the reason why something starts, but it doesn't really matter. It is so bizarre. He matters, yet doesn't matter. And I've never seen a character whose role in an entire story is so inconsequential, but he still matters so much that if he doesn't exist or was replaced, it would still make sense. We're gonna skip to the end because that's where actually almost a lot of things happen. I know, right? So at the end, we meet up with Isaac, we fight him, his boss fight is bullshit. Because, like, his first part is just hard. It's not impossible. I mean, like, when he has his dragon out, you can't hurt him. Well, hurt him directly. You can actually shorten down the time of how long his summon can be, but that's all it can do. You need to focus on his ID, which will make him go way faster. After that, all of his other forms can be hurt. Why is that? I'm not sure anymore. Nobody knows. But ironically, after that, you have to find another boss. But wait, who is that guy then? Well, you see, that's Zed. Because you see, Zed's deaf, baby. Good on you for getting that reference. Yeah, he comes out of quite nowhere at times, or at least doesn't feel like he's important. Like I said, he might be important at times, but he has no value to this plot. And in fact, if he was just introduced as deaf right now and just came out of here, I would say that would actually make more sense, or was serving under him to get back at him. Like, maybe like that was constructing this, but actually was kind of like the puppet master all along. Which, that would actually be more interesting. I'm just saying. And you see, basically, that, you know that whole name of Curse of Darkness? Well, that is a real thing. You see, the Curse of Darkness was supposed to, well, take Hector and make him into Dracula. Or at least the body for Dracula. Which makes no sense in this world, but whatever. In any case, After you defeat Death, you go up, climb the stairs, defeat Dracula, yada yada, pray today, ha 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 ha. And the ending is so bullshit. After all that, there's no reconciliation between Hector and Isaac. Yeah, Isaac was evil, but really at this point, does anyone care? Nobody cares. He dies. Dracula's gone for a while. Death is just gone. Hector and Julia leave, decide to live together for a while, I think. So, yeah, that's it. So, what did I think about the game? Well, that's self-evident. The game's alright. I have played far worse games, but I can tell you there are better games out there. It is stuck in this middle road where it could have been so much more, and that's what kind of disappoints me in the end. It was a game that could have been more. And honestly, that saddens me. So next time I'm going to fulfill a quest of mine that a friend of mine, after okay, this is going to take a moment. You see, when I did my Afro Samurai review, somebody requested me to do a game, Splatterhouse. I didn't have the game and don't have it still. But I am going to do it. Now. So, let's splatter some brains and get into this house.